Today's guest is extra special to me. Her name is Michelle, and we grew up together, played basketball side by side for many years, spent nights in the club. We laughed, we cried, and fun fact, we had our very first drinks together. I can proudly say that she is still one of my best friends. Michelle's story is quite beautiful because she and her partner spent about a year and a half traveling in a van and then chasing their dream of living in Spain before realizing that sometimes dreams can change. And now she's back in the Netherlands with a beautiful family. And I want to talk to her about exactly that, how dreams can evolve, why it's okay to change your direction, and the power of saying, I did this instead of the what ifs. So let's dive in with her. And I'm so excited to welcome her to the Borderless Diaries podcast. Michelle, welcome to Borderless Diaries.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, it's so amazing to have you here because who knew 25 years later, we will be recording a podcast together about living abroad and traveling.
Never have guessed that.
Me neither. So, Michelle, every guest starts with the same question. What is one of the most unforgettable, funny, or downright awkward experience you've had while adjusting to the life abroad?
Well, that's a pretty difficult question, actually, because we have mostly traveled abroad and not really settled in one place for a very long time. So I really didn't have the chance to settle in. But one of the things that comes to mind first is that I'd been trying to speak or learn Spanish for 1.5 years, I think, because we had the idea of living abroad there. But before you go to Spain, you have to cross France, of course. So we were 3 weeks in France. When I finally was adjusted a bit to French,
Yeah.
in the supermarket and so saying bonjour and merci and stuff like that, I came to Spain and I kept on speaking French. So it took a while before I could actually use the Spanish language in Spain where it was supposed to speak Spanish. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
I think the most awkward thing I had. But luckily for me, it was in supermarkets and so all people I would never see again.
Yeah, exactly. Now I can imagine that because it's difficult to adjust to a new language as well. I don't know, like you switch so quickly, but then you're also taking things from a different language into another language. I don't know. It's always a little bit weird because even
Yeah.
now we're never used to talk to English to each other because we're both Dutch.
Yes.
So now I also need to kind of, oh yeah, we now need to for this podcast so that everybody understands what we're saying, switch
Indeed.
to English. And I'm curious how well we would adjust that throughout the podcast.
It's going to
All
be a
right,
challenge as well.
right?
Yeah, right.
So let's start with the big adventure. Like you said, you've not adjusted to just one place because you've lived in a van for about a year and a half together with your partner. So paint me a little bit of a picture. What was that daily life look like in on the road?
It's very strange. In the beginning, it feels like a vacation, but we knew it wasn't a vacation. Of course, we knew we were going to live in the van for a long period of time. Simple daily things become challenging. I think you know that when you start doing this, but you can't really fully comprehend it until you do it. So real simple things like doing groceries or having a shower or cooking on a tea pit. It's everything you do takes more time. So it's good that we in the beginning didn't have a job next to it because traveling is hard work. Also, you need to plan ahead where you're going, what road you're gonna take, where you're gonna stay.
Yeah.
So it's hard work,
Yeah.
and I really thought it would be easier.
Yeah, I can imagine that because it's not only the van itself that you need to adjust to. You come from an apartment to living in a van. What surprised you the most about living in such a small place as well?
Of course, you need to settle in, but it strangely enough, I got used to it very quickly. Peter and I are a very good team, and we had lived in a small place before. Uh, Not as small as a van, but still small. It's enough space to live in with us. As long as the weather was okay, I mean, it's rainy, the van becomes small. The idea of living in a van is, of course, that you go to sunny places and live outside as well. But it really, I actually enjoyed it. We made it very homey. We had a good couch. Actually, it was a very good experience to live in a small place. Also, to know you're capable of doing that. You don't need a lot. I
Yeah.
felt, I felt very, I felt a lot of freedom when we did
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
I can imagine because it's kind of like you're being less materialistic, I think, living in a van because we get so attached. And I mean, I look around me with all of the stuff that I have right now. I'm like, oh gosh, I wish that I could be a little bit less materialistic because you collect all of these things. And then if you're adjusting to a life in a van, I can imagine that you don't even think twice about the stuff that you're having here in an apartment or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Like everything can be, you know, not here and still have a good life and explore. And I think the beauty from traveling in a van like that is that you appreciate more what you have and maybe appreciate a little bit more what else is out there, like nature, and you're seeing all of these beautiful places and stuff like that. Where exactly did you travel to with your van?
And we started off in Great Britain. So we went to England, Wales, and Scotland. We took about 7 weeks for that. And then we came back and we traveled to Sweden and Norway for about 2 months. And Norway was fantastic. After that, we came back for 2.5 weeks because our sister was getting married. And so, of course, I needed to be there. And after that, we traveled to Spain. And of course, we took some time in France and we also took some time in Portugal. Went first north of Spain, Portugal, and then to the south of Spain. And then after that, we also came back for about 4 weeks, I think, 3 or 4 weeks in the Netherlands because my sister then had a baby. So needed to see my little nephew. And then we left for about 3.5 months. And then we did Switzerland, Italy, Slovakia, Czechia, a little bit of Germany. And then we came back.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Is there a country that really stood out to you?
Yes, Norway.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And also
And
Scotland was amazing.
oh, yeah, I can imagine because there's a lot of history there, right? So it's beautiful to
There's a
see
lot of
that.
history with so much nature as well. It's very rough.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like.
can imagine that. And Norway, I mean, my gosh, that's high on my list to travel to. So when I saw all of your beautiful pictures and your Instagram stories, gosh, that was amazing to see.
Yeah, I can highly recommend.
I will definitely go one day. Were there moments where you thought doing all of these travels and those different countries that you thought, what on earth are we doing?
Not that many times actually. No, because I was really living my dream at that moment. And if we for a second thought, what are we doing here? We just packed the van and then
Yeah,
we just,
yeah,
so we moved in, staying in Switzerland, for example, because we really wanted to see Switzerland. But when we were there, the weather was really bad. After 10 days, I think, in the rain, we were like, okay, this really doesn't make any sense. So where's the sun shining at the moment? Okay, in
yeah,
Italy, not in the north of, so we had to travel like 10 hours, drive 10 hours to get to the sun. But we're like, okay, we've seen Italy, we love Italy. We don't really need to be there to see new things, but
yeah,
we just really wanted to see sun. So we were like, let's just drive there because it makes more sense there than in Central Europe at this moment because the weather is so bad. And I'm really glad that we did it because as soon as we, okay, Italy was fun, let's go further. We just left again and
yeah.
drove.
Oh gosh, the amount of freedom that this sound. I mean, you were living the dream, basically. Follow the
Yes,
sunset is basically kind of the motto that I think you've lived by. So that I can imagine. Is there a moment on those travels that you feel like I will never forget that specific moment?
there are many. There
Yeah.
are so many things that are unforgettable about it. So yeah, many moments in Norway because we did so many amazing hikes. So for example, there was one time that we were up in the north, and then in the summer the sun doesn't set. We've had a bit the weather wasn't great at that time. So we wanted to do a beautiful hike to a very blue icy lake. But because it was misty, we were like, let's not do it today because we wouldn't see
Yes.
the blue lake it's supposed to be. But at some point later at night, I think around 10 o'clock or something in the evening, the weather just, and we were like, okay, well, the sun's of course not setting. So just go on that hike anyway. So we did a midnight hike and we had like a golden hour for 2 hours straight because the sun was going down and then coming up again. But
Wow.
it just touched the surface. So we had like a golden hour walk to that blue lake and that was magic.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that sounds magical. That's almost, well, again, living a dream. Speaking of dreams, because I remember also was talking dreaming quite big, right? We were young and we wanted to see and do all of these things. And you really went out there and lived one of those dreams. What did that touch of freedom do for you? Did that change kind of your way of living, or like was it something that you felt like, oh, I've achieved that sense of freedom? What did it do to you?
Well, yes. It started when COVID hit and because I actually always was I wanted to make it in the corporate life. That was my first goal when I was younger. I was like, I'm going to study and I want to do good there. And what I was having a 40-hour a week job, going to the office every day from 9 to 5, just living the normal life like everyone else. Then COVID hit and we could work from home. And at that point I was like, wow, I never want to come back to the office. So
Yeah.
I realized that that wasn't really something for me. And also that dream of having an amazing career just flew out of
Yeah.
the window. Like I don't
Yeah.
even care anymore. I want to be happy. And 9 to 5 job every day to the office didn't make me happy. We bought the van, converted the van, and then after 2 years of converting, we started to go away and just give up our jobs and just leave. And by doing that, I realized that I didn't want to get back to that normal life. So I now have a remote job that I combined with the traveling at the end, but I still have that job, but I'm now doing it from home. So it really gave me the opportunity to live like that, like we did during COVID, but now I have the same freedom back
Yeah.
then as but
Yeah.
in a normal life.
Yeah. I
The
can
restriction.
imagine. Yeah. It changed kind of your, maybe the goals that you had in life at that moment in time, maybe before COVID, because you were, we've known each other quite a long time. You were always eager to achieve something, and you're, you know, super smart as well, but you're always kind of eager to make it, etc. So it's also funny to see that transition as being one of, my best friends at least, to see that transition from you still being super smart, but where you changed kind of in that sense of maybe less eager in that sense, but still eager to achieve things in life. But what makes you happy? It came
Exactly.
more to the forefront, I think. Yeah.
I came to the realization that freedom was making me far more happy than the successes in my career. Also because I'm also a very sporty person. I love to work out. I run a lot. I run marathons, and of course, you need to train a lot for that. And I was really sick and tired of doing that at 6 a.m. in the morning or at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
evening. So now I can just do my trainings during the day and in between my work, and it gives me so much more
Yeah.
rest in my
Yeah.
head that
Yeah.
that makes me way more happy than
Yeah. Yeah.
money and a good career. I still
Yeah.
have a career. It's not that I want to become marketing manager anymore, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. It's less of a controlled, structured way of living, I can imagine. Because it's kind of like once you touch that freedom to take control over what you want to do at that specific hour of the day. And of course, you still do your job and you're achieving those types of things. You control what you do in that specific hour instead of you need to do, because I kept myself doing that as well. Like I want to, be sporty and I need to run and I need to do this and achieve a career and all of that. But it also, where I thought I was working towards more freedom and more of control over my life, it was doing the opposite because now I needed to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning and you need to start running at 6:30 or go to the gym and then, get your breakfast in or walk the dog and then your work start between 8 and 9 and you work till 5 and then you do this. And it was so structured that it kind of made your life not so controlled. You
Almost
are,
you can't
yeah,
do anything spontaneous anymore, and
yeah, yeah.
it's draining.
Yeah. Yeah, it is draining. Yeah. Yeah, I like the way that you frame that and that you got that sense of freedom back. Going back a little bit about your travels because you've tried to live and live and have a life in Spain.
Yes.
How did that dream come about and what do it feel like to give that a real shot? Because you've been there for about 4 months, I believe, really
Yes.
trying to settle in there, right?
It's not that long, but well, the Netherlands is not really a sunny place to live, and I don't really like cold and the rain. So at first it was like, okay, where do you have good weather in Europe? And so we just thought, okay, Spain would be a nice place to live. We've been to Spain a several couple of times, and we liked a couple of cities like Malaga, and we were like, okay, let's just give it a shot. So we took some Spanish courses. I think I had like 1,000-day Duolingo streak. So I wanted to come prepared. So I was like, okay, we're gonna travel with the van, and when we get there somewhere in winter, so we got in December, let's just try and rent a house for a few months and see how it turns out, whether we like it or.
Yeah.
But at least let's just try it for a few months because go cold turkey, buy a
Yeah.
house there. And so we went there. We had a little place. We had a house in Nerja. It's about an hour from Malaga. So in Andalusia, in Spain. Yeah, it was all right. The weather was great. I mean, we didn't really have a winter, so it was about 18 degrees every day, sometimes 20. When the sun was out, it was actually warm. We were very close to the sea. Nerja itself is quite a cute town.
Yeah.
But in winter, it's also not that busy. There are not a lot of tourists at that time, mostly locals. It was really hard to settle in. So actually, when we were traveling, we knew every person that we would meet, it would be for a very short period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, and you would have something new every day because you travel. We traveled almost every day. But there we suddenly had like 4 months just each other, and
Yeah.
it really made us lonely.
Yeah.
At that time, we were like, okay, Spain is nice
Yeah.
because of the weather
Yeah.
and the people are kind, of course. But in terms of feeling at home, we didn't really felt it there. And can be the place. And in 4 months, it's really hard to feel at home, of course. So we were, but that time we were like, okay, we do feel like we've traveled for a while now and we've came to rest
Yeah.
in our minds. Like, okay, we've done that and we're very happy that we did. But now we actually do feel the need, not necessarily, but the want to stay.
Yeah.
Um, but let's just do it in the Netherlands where we're ready to get back home.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't have fixed jobs at that moment, so we couldn't buy a house. So for that reason, we decided to travel half a year longer, so we could get that fixed job and the possibility to buy a house in the Netherlands. So we did that half a year later. But Spain was, I'm very happy that we tried it because if
Yeah.
we wouldn't have tried it, it would still in my mind like maybe I want to live there. But now I know that I tried and that it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. I think that is so powerful as well because I think, you've worked towards that specific goal of moving abroad. You tried the Spanish life and to come to the conclusion of, hey, maybe this is not what I want, I think is more powerful than the what ifs. So I really admire that you did that, but also had the courage then to say, you know what, this is not my forever dream. And the desire to go back to the Netherlands is higher than us staying there and have that feeling of loneliness because nobody wants to feel lonely especially
Oh,
in a different country, right? I think that that is um, something that isn't really talked about enough among people that are living abroad because loneliness can for sure be there. And how are you navigating through that? At what point did you realize this isn't my forever dream or your forever dream together with Peter?
Um, well, something shifted for the both of us when we had been traveling for about 10 months or so. Um, we we both get more rest in our body and mind.
Yeah.
Okay, we have now done what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
And then my sister was pregnant and having her baby, and that really changed my mind on having kids because I've always said that I didn't want to have kids,
Yeah.
and Peter as well. But I think this travel dream was always sort of in the way
Yeah.
of wanting to have kids because we really thought that we wanted to have a free life. So when my sister finally had her baby, I don't know, I became such a different person. I became more emotional, and I think something unlocked in my body and mind that I do want to have a family, and I wanted to be close to my sister as well because I actually really missed her and I didn't want to miss out on my nephew. So
Yeah.
that was actually the point where we said, "This was fun, but let's
Yes.
go home and that's where we can, whether or not we can have a family of our own, but at least the family that we have." So yeah, that's the point. And it's really funny because it really just happened on the day that my sister had her child
Yeah.
and we were having dinner. And I just realized that I really missed her and that I actually maybe do want to have a kid. Peter brought it up at dinner. Like, I know we always said that we didn't want to have kids, but maybe I do actually. And I was like, oh my God, this
Really?
is this is so crazy that we had the same shift in what we
Yeah.
want at the same time. So yeah,
Yeah.
we opened the conversation and I was really happy that he thought the same because of course a relationship could also
Yeah.
end in this. Like, I mean, we were together for nine years almost, I think. And at that time we've always said we don't want to have kids. Now if one person changes their mind on that, it
Yeah.
would be a very difficult conversation. But for us it changed at the same time, so
Yeah.
very happy that it happened.
Gosh, I didn't know that story actually that Peter brought it up. I think it's such a, seeing you as a friend, I've always had a different opinion about it because I always thought like we go through phases in our lives. And I think, when we were younger, you go through certain things or relationships and friendships and career things and all of that, that your goal that or the dream that you had 10 years ago isn't per se the dream that you can have now. And I think what I really admire about the both of you is that you chased your dream. You wanted to live abroad and have that freedom and travel. And I think before that, you had that career dream and you worked towards that. So throughout your life, for me to see you as a friend, you've always worked towards your goals and you towards your dreams and you've achieved those dreams. And then there's space for another dream. And I think that is so powerful what you and Peter did. And I think it's amazing to have seen you both grow in that area and that you found another dream. And I think, it takes a lot of courage to change that dream and to come to the conclusion, hey, we're going to do something else. How do you look back at that transition? So you had the conversation with Peter at the dinner table, and then you made the decision to go back home. Did you ever feel the pressure of, no, we said we wanted to make it work in Spain. I told people that I never wanted to have children. How did that transition go for you?
Well, the part where I've always said that I didn't wanna have kids, that was a difficult one for me because I know I really was making a statement back then, and I kept to it for a very long time. I mean, I think I was 31 when I changed my mind. So,
Yeah,
I really felt very strongly in my bones from when I was young.
yeah,
I mean, from I think I was 10 or something that I already knew that I never wanted to have kids. And
yeah,
I think maybe something that it was also because I was saying it so often that I started to believe it more and more. But also, really, I didn't really like kids until a few years back. So
yeah,
really didn't think it would be something for me. I really
yeah,
thought that I would never make a good mother as well. Like,
yeah,
it's just not for me.
yeah.
for myself to I realized that I wanted to have it, but I also needed to believe that I wanted to have kids,
Yeah.
you know? So there was also still something in my mind that I needed to convince that it was a good idea. And also the people around me, even my parents, they were both in shock when I told them that I was pregnant. They were like, "How? You
Yeah.
never have kids." They couldn't believe it. We're like, "Okay." We saw a little shift when my sister got her child.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Michelle's getting softer about kids right now. Maybe in a few years or so, but they never would have expected it so fast.
Yeah.
Also, my friends, you as well, of course. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So, I mean, I can imagine that people from back in the days that I don't speak anymore, that if they hear that I have a child right now, that they are like, Michelle having a kid? No,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
true. Can't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How because I really think as your friend, I think it's really beautiful to see because I think you're a great mother and I think you have grown a lot in that sense and to really, like you said, it's a transition time for yourself as well because you've said that for so many years and maybe, starting to believe that and that changed for you. What did it teach you about yourself and what you really want in life?
Well, of course, what you said earlier, that your dreams can change. It is a transition. That is so true. You go through phases, and I think the easiest way to explain is that your life is like a book, and you just go through the chapters, but you don't know what the next chapter is
Yeah.
until you get there. And I've always thought that I would want to have a certain sense of freedom in life, and not a very not to feel grounded or
Yeah.
obligated to stay in one place.
Yeah.
At some point in life, I just wanted wanted to have that
Yeah.
place that I can call home, and that gives me sense of belonging, safety, stuff like that, and I still feel very free, but in a
Yeah.
very different sense. So yeah, in some way, my dreams have changed, but the core of what I find important has remained the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that because it shows that changing dreams doesn't mean giving up on a dream. You've worked towards that and you've already lived them and that makes space for other ones. And which brings me kind of to the next topic because now that you have that beautiful family and becoming a mom, how do you look at your past adventures and about how your future adventures will look like?
Well, I am really, really, really glad that I did all the things that I've done, hands down. And I don't know, I know that I wanted other things in life as well, but those things just don't seem that important anymore. So when we were traveling, we also had the idea of putting our van on a boat and go to America,
Yeah.
and living the van life there as well. But I don't want that anymore. It was when we were traveling, and we really thought that we would want to travel for maybe 3 years or so. And if that would have been the case, then yes, we would have traveled through America. Um, but I don't really feel like I want to do that anymore. Also, I really wanted to go to Australia, for example, but also not that important anymore. Maybe in a few years I will feel the urge to do that anyways, but right now I'm very happy where I am. So, yeah, also dreams that you have in the past can just, I don't know, disappear or make room for new dreams. And I don't feel like I have given up on anything. It's just I just feel peace with what I have done and also with the things that I'm not going to do or maybe will do in the future. But for the future, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, for travel perspective, I've done everything that I wanted to do. So there's not really something on the list that I really need to do in life, and that gives me a lot of peace of mind as well. Because
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
there are some countries that seem amazing to me to travel, like Argentina and Canada and Australia still and New Zealand. But I'm also like, yeah, that's a long, long, long flight also with a kid. So I'm like, yeah, make it in the future, but it's not really necessary anymore.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful because it shows that every adventure is different and it's, going from a van life and having those have lived through all of that, and now it's space for a different type of traveling perhaps in a few years where you're gonna still do the traveling but not per se in that sense anymore, where you now have a more grounded place and a sense of belonging back in the Netherlands. I know that we're getting a little bit over time here, so let's do a little bit of a quick fire before we close. A couple of quick questions for you, Michelle. What do you still miss the most about life on the road?
Well, every day was bringing some excitement. And of course, now in the Netherlands, living in a house and having a job, you just get more of a routine.
Yes.
So, not knowing what comes on the day, that's something that I miss.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And what do you now love the most about your life at home with your new family?
It's the thing I love most, and is also the most challenging part of the day right now is keeping Jesper happy. So, yeah, he's now 2.5 months old, and
Yeah.
I love him so much, but it's also quite a hustle sometimes. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I love every bit of it.
Oh, I can imagine. And you're an amazing mother, and I love to see that transition in you and seeing you as a mother. So I hope to see you not only virtually soon, but also in person, so that I can
I hope
hold
so
little
too.
as well. One last question for you, Michelle, before we're wrapping up. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody that's listening in today who is maybe afraid of chasing their dreams or changing their dreams, what advice would you give them?
Never regret the things that you do. Only regret the things that you haven't done or won't do. So if a dream that you thought was your dream doesn't really feel right anymore,
Yeah.
change it. You can always go.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. I think it's one of the key lessons that I think that I learned from you is that it's always okay to change your dream. And it's super important just to go do it, live and work towards your goal. And if that goal changes over time, that is perfectly fine as well.
At least you've tried.
Exactly, exactly. So, Michelle, thank you so much for reminding us that dreams don't have to be lasting forever and that it can be as meaningful to change them. Sometimes the beauty in daring to live them and making space for the next chapter. I'm super proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you've shared your story here on Borderless Diaries. And for everybody that is listening in, please drop us a follow and thank you for being part of the community.
Thank you so much for having me.